Thank you. Okay, well, tonight's objectives are to gain a better understanding of how leaders lead, the duties of the club president, vice president, and the board of directors, how to plan for your year, leadership expectations of the club president, and where to find the resources. Leadership includes guidance, motivation, problem solving, building consensus. And before we go any further, I just want to say that some people stray away from taking an office, especially to be president. But as long as you have a good secretary and a good officer team, it's really not as tough of a job as you would think. It really kind of falls in place as long as you have an agenda. Club presidents lead by communicating the shared vision among the club members, encouraging members toward reaching both club and personal goals, providing leadership opportunities, attending and encouraging others to attend leadership training, developing a mentoring program, and giving every member an important role to fill. Remember, if we keep our members engaged, hopefully we can keep them in the clubs longer. And we need to set a good example.
Lisa, just to interrupt, all these, this will all be available for access later?
Yeah, I'll send a PDF of this
Okay.
presentation out so that you guys have it.
All right, thanks.
Yep. They promote consensus rather than conflict by encouraging their members to have an open, honest, candid, and confidential discussions. They provide their own views. They challenge other members' opinions without being offensive or disagreeable. And they accept challenges without being offended. That's kind of a tough one to do sometimes.
That's important. Yeah.
The duties of the president are just like the CEO of a company. They call and preside at the club board of directors and any special meetings the club has. They appoint the committees, the chair people, and the members of those committees. They ensure regular elections are called and held. This is a big one, to attend cabinet and zone meetings. It's very important to know what's going on in the district. And to report at the zone meetings on what your club's doing. You will have the authority over the club as a whole. The club constitution and bylaws are another place where you can look if you have issues. The international constitution and bylaws, and your club board of directors.
Lisa, can I just make a couple, two comments?
Sure.
The slide before, which was the duties of the president, were more or less from, I think those would pretty much come from the Constitution and bylaws, but they're general. I think everybody pretty much understands that. But the next one with the club constitution and bylaws, each of your clubs has, if you don't know where your club constitution and bylaws are, or if you don't have a written copy, then you are under the guidance of then it's assumed that you follow what's called the standard constitution and bylaws. And it'd be good to get a copy of that. We'll actually send out a copy of that after they're revised. They're revised a little bit every year at the International Convention, and then they update them. So sometime in July or early August, we will send all the club presidents an updated version of the standard constitution and bylaws. So some of those duties that were on the previous page, like committee assignments and things like that, in your individual club, it's possible that if you have your own system of doing things, that it doesn't fall to you, but it could, yeah, in general, it's your responsibility to see if that gets done. So thanks, Lisa.
Yes, thank you. I didn't realize that that actually came out to the presidents every year. All right, the duties of the vice presidents. They will serve as a committee chair and a board member prior to being elected as vice president, hopefully, which will help them to understand what the president's role is in case they have to step in, oversee the committees as assigned, help the committee chairs to set goals for their committees, develop job descriptions for committees, help the committee chairs learn meeting management, act as a resource for committee chairs, ex officio member of assigned committees, and they may report on behalf of those committees. In some of the smaller clubs, I don't know about each of you, but some of the smaller clubs, like our club, we have about 9 to 11 people that actually come in to every meeting. So we don't really have committees. We all work on the stuff together as a group. So you may be in that position also. The board of directors is the club's management committee. They are composed of club officers, the line tamer, tail twister, the club LCIF coordinator, which is usually the immediate past president, your safety officer if you have one, the branch president if you have a branch club attached to yours, and any other elected directors and or chairpersons. And all the positions are elected offices during the club's elections. The officers of the club are your president, your immediate past president, the vice presidents, secretary, treasurer, service chairperson, marketing chairperson, and membership chairperson. And those chair people can be filled by the vice president. And in some cases, here again, if you have a small club, you might not have those positions. The duties of the board of directors, you will review and refer all new business appropriately and possibly shape any new policies. You approve expenditures and arrange for audit. You approve your financial institution for the bonding. You maintain 2 separate accounts, your administrative, the Lions money, and the activity, which is your public money. You modify or overrule or rescind officer actions. And you support the board of directions decisions. This is a picture of the standard club structure as it stands today. And as you can see, where the board of directors is up here, and then the president, and then all the people below him or her, and then the standing committees. Any questions on that? Okay. Any questions or comments on what we went over so far?
Just one, I noticed there was a safety officer. Is there somewhere online that explains that role? I've never heard of it. You know, I've been with the club 10 years now, and is that like, is that part of the tamer position or?
Dennis, do you know? Because this presentation was the first time I ever seen a safety officer also.
I'll have to look into that.
I know we don't have one.
We don't have one.
Okay, thank you.
I'll find out.
Dennis, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Are you talking to yourself?
I was, and I was very interesting. But, so the safety officer is it's, if I recall, it's in the standard form constitution and bylaws. Is so in essence it's a recommended office, but it is an optional office. Lisa, if you go back to that slide, I think it go back one more. I think it said oh, go back one more. Where was the list?
Yeah, it was a couple more before that. There you
There
go.
we go.
There you go.
Next two back, I think.
One more.
There
There
it
we
is.
go. Yeah, the
It
safety
does say
officer,
optional.
it is an optional if you have that, but it's recommended, especially, you know, if your club is engaged in any number of activities where there could be accidents, whatever. For example, our club runs a restaurant at the South Mountain Fairgrounds. So, you know, it's good for somebody to be on the lookout for, you know, equipment that could be a problem, or you know, chairs that are messed up, or benches that could get splinters, that kind of thing, or hazardous uneven surfaces in the floor or in the macadam out in front.
Gotcha.
So I think that's why it's a liability thing, but it is listed, and the Constitution and bylaws has some responsibilities under it. I'm almost positive, but we'll look for that here before we finish.
I think most of us saw safety officer, as we're attuned to what goes on today, as something totally different than what was just described. Would the other members agree? When you saw safety officer, did you think of somebody patrolling the area looking out for troublemakers, you know, like I did? I wasn't thinking about safety from a physical standpoint of, you know, those things. I was thinking of something totally different. So thank you for clarifying that, Dennis.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it. At my place of employment, we have to actually do a safety minute before every meeting we have. And you like look around and make sure there's no cords that anybody would fall over, or open drawers. And it gets a little ridiculous, but it is, I mean, it is a good thing, especially like Dennis said, in his club's area of the restaurant. It is a good idea to have someone like that to make sure
Yeah.
that they're looking out for people.
Good.
And like you said earlier, Lisa, a lot of this depends on how many people you've got in your club. If you've got that luxury of being able to do, but it's a nice thing if you have a bigger club and enough people, you know, it's something, a role that, so that every member has something to do.
Sure.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, planning. This is a big one for your year. So before your term begins, you want to check out and understand the members' motivations and their needs. Find out what they're interested in. You want to download and review the club president's ebook, which has some very good information in it.
We will also send that out to you. I know, because some of this stuff's hard to find, but we'll send you the ebook.
Great.
Participate in the district or multiple district events, conventions, meetings, etc. This is so you know what's going on, not just in your club, but in the district and multiple district, the state, because there's always different types of events going on.
And I think this bullet's kind of geared for the vice presidents, especially. If presidents, you've kind of lost most of your opportunity to do that in preparation for your year as president. So vice presidents, take note of that one.
Participate in club officer training, which you guys are all doing. As Dennis said, you want to become familiar with the club constitution and bylaws, the district's constitution and bylaws, and look for the update after the international convention, as Dennis said earlier. But this is just what it looks like, the first page. Okay, you want to start with early detection. Yeah, early detection. John just walked in and he got me all messed up now.
There you go, Jim.
Right after your election, you want to seek permission from the club president to begin organizing. You want to meet with your incoming officers, appoint your committee chairs, and assign the members to committees. You want to talk with the predecessor and or the past president and be ready to start July 1st. You want to create a month-by-month to-do list and pass this on to the next president. In our club, we used to do a notebook that would keep all your meeting minutes, and that way for the next president, they could kind of go by and see the month to month about what we did, so that you have some kind of guideline to go to as you start to plan your month or your year. You want to create a meeting agenda template. I know I have ours for New Oxford. In case you guys do not have one, we can send one out to you. There is one in this presentation to give you an idea what goes on it. You want to draft a calendar of events, your meeting dates, the service projects, fundraisers, etc. And as you're planning your calendar of events, don't forget to contact Teresa Craley. She is our marketing person for the district. She gets it on the district calendar, and I believe it goes on our district website as well. You want to set your goals and develop action plans for those goals to make sure that you reach those goals. Any questions on the planning aspect of it? Okay.
The only thing I would ask, what's a typical goal for, to aspire to in terms of saying new members, a goal of new membership coming in? Is there a standard? We just lost 3 and we're going to lose another one at the end of June. So we just talked about that at our board meeting last Tuesday. But I mean, in setting goals, I could say, well, we want 10 new members. I mean, is that too high?
It's really up to the person.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think any number's too high to reach for.
No.
I'd rather say 5 and get 15,
Right. Right.
Gotcha.
I think it's the kind of thing, John, that you might talk over with your leadership team, like at your first board meeting, or maybe just more informally, you could poll your membership, or especially like your officer team, you, the vice president, secretary, treasurer, maybe the directors, and come to a consensus about it. It doesn't have to be just you. And I think there's plenty of other goals too that are worthy of doing, like maybe a goal regarding a new service project, or a goal of having all of your leaders attend training, your club officers attend training. You might set a goal that has to do with getting 5 or a certain number of members to attend the district convention, or those kinds of things. So,
okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, leadership expectations. The expectations for the club president is to conduct the meetings, manage the committees, conducting officer elections, communicating within and outside of your club. As far as meetings go, the president will issue the call for the meetings for the club, the board, and any special meetings you will have. They will prepare the agenda with the secretary. And here again, all this is based on how your club would typically handle this sort of thing. In our club, the secretary does this stuff. So it's really, you know, how your club wants to do this. The president does preside over the meetings. And if for some reason the president can't be there, the vice president should preside over the meetings. And if that person's not available, the immediate past president is usually called upon to do that. The president will review the minutes prior to distribution, and that's a club thing, whether you actually do that or not. We have this question a lot: why bother with an agenda? It actually acts as a blueprint for an efficient meeting. You have a guideline to go by, and it actually helps you so that you don't forget things. It helps to keep the meetings productive and orderly. You keep your members informed this way, and it helps to assure issues are not overlooked, like I said, about forgetting things. And to prepare your agenda, you can work with your secretary, vice presidents, and your committee chair. Review your past meeting minutes, your detailed version for yourself and basic version for your club members. Send basic version to club members prior to the meeting. And have a few copies at the meeting in case someone forgot theirs. In our club, we don't actually hand out the agenda. The president just uses that as his guideline.
Yeah, we don't
his or her. This is going to be a sample agenda of a program meeting. You call to order, your opening exercises. Some clubs do a song. I think everybody does the pledge, lines, toast, and the blessing or invocation for the meal. You introduce your guests. Something I do want to point out here, because with me going around and visiting different clubs, I think it's very important if you have district governors, past district governors, or past council chairs at your meetings, they should be introduced officially so that everyone at the meeting is aware of their presence. And they should actually be done before any other guests that you have for your meeting that night. Then you have your meal, your program, the secretary and treasurer's reports, and any announcements that you have, and then your adjournment. And you can basically mix this up, you know, whatever way you want to do it. We typically have our secretary and treasurer's reports after the introduction of guests. And then when your next board meeting is. This is an agenda for the business or board meeting. Same thing, call to order, the opening exercises, your meal, your remarks by president and vice president, what's going on, your secretary and treasurer's report, the chairperson, coordinator reports, old and unfinished business, and then your new business, and then adjournment. This is another thing in smaller clubs. Like with our club, our board meeting is part of our typical monthly meeting. We only meet once a month, and we pretty much go over everything during that meeting rather than having a separate board meeting, since we only have 9 to 11 members as it is. And this is Arntsville's sample agenda.
And you can see that that's a few years old. And our current president has really even pared that down, which I personally kind of like, to limit the amount of business that happens at the regular meetings and saves a lot of the business for the board meetings, because our meetings were getting kind of, and Kim, you can chime in if you agree or disagree, but our meetings could get kind of tedious and laborious. And if we had any guests there, you know, it got to be what was it? Kind of drawn out and whatever. So I appreciate, and I'd certainly highly recommend, especially if you're bringing in new members or whatever, keep the regular meeting limit as much as possible. Even the secretary and treasurer reports, if you can keep those to the you know, as something that's been handed out ahead of time, and it's just either a quick approval or move it to the board meeting to approve. Keep your meetings informational and enjoyable. That aspect of the meeting.
Just a quick question on that. Are the secretaries expected to do minutes for each of the regular meetings?
That's what our club does.
Our club does.
There should, I think there should be some brief accounting of at least, you know, when you met and what occurred at the meeting. It doesn't have to be all that extensive, especially if there's not any action being taken.
Okay.
You know, when you have your meeting to elect officers, that's a whole club, especially if if the club's going to be voting on something or some kind of a policy change or constitutional amendment, that should definitely be recorded. So that it can be run together with the board meeting. It could just a brief overview of what happened at the regular meeting and then run into the board meeting minutes afterwards or something like that too.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, the parliamentary procedure. It's a body of rules followed by the assembly. You call to order, kinds of motions, your debate, voting, table, to rescind, reconsider motions, and recognize speakers. The Roberts Rules of Orders is what we use. This is what I was saying about creating a binder to carry to the meetings. That would include your agenda, the minutes from the previous meeting, officer and committees list in case people ask, your calendar or list of meeting dates, the club constitution and bylaws, your club policies, and the Robert Rules of Orders, the basics, because that's a very long, and your district directory. Every president and secretary receives the district directory the first cabinet meeting of the year. Any questions or comments on the meetings?
Could you
Would
go
the,
back to previous?
Would you like, I think I have that basic Robert's Rules of Order, a basic version of that. Would you folks like that to be sent out?
Sure.
I think that
I
would
would
be
like to
helpful.
have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, that notebook I think is just a suggestion, isn't it, Lisa? That's not like
Yeah,
a
that is a suggestion. That's not something you need to do.
But it's a very good one.
Can you go back real quick?
Sure. How far do you want me to go back?
Oh, right there. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just for a sec. I was just looking. Thank you.
Okay.
Kim, I don't know if you were on, but we're going to send out a PDF of these slides.
Thanks.
Yep. All right, your committees. President appoints the committee chairs and assigns members to committees. Work with the vice presidents. The vice presidents usually handle the committees. The vice president oversees, assists, and mentors, but does not take over. That's a very important. Let your committee chairs do their jobs. Match members' interests, skills, and knowledge to assignments. You know, if you have someone that's very interested in the environment, then it's a good idea to have them do the environmental service projects, that type of thing. It's important that you bring in new blood. As we've all seen, I'm sure, over the years, like especially in my club, like we had a chicken barbecue committee, and the same people did it year after year after year after year. No one, they wouldn't allow anyone new to get in on it. And then what you have is, if something happens to a few of those people, then, you know, it just makes it harder for somebody to take over that. Do you understand what I mean there?
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's kind of nice to have new people on those committees, just so other people become familiar with what you have to do. You want to develop and provide job descriptions for those. Encourage record keeping here again. That way it's not in somebody's head what they did for that committee for year after year after year. If you have something in writing, it's much easier to go by. You expect and provide time for reporting. And to communicate regularly with the committee chairs via the vice presidents. To encourage committees to meet and communicate between club meetings. That means not just at the club meetings, that they get together outside of the club. Try and attend at least one meeting of each of those committees. That kind of keeps you in the loop about what's going on, especially if you have an event that's not going on for several months, you at least have an idea of that somebody's working on it. Makes you aware of the progress, problems, and achievements. And it helps to keep the committee focused on the end game and anything that may require follow-up. Standing committees that are listed in the Constitution and bylaws is the Global Action Team, which is to be chaired by the club president. For those of you who don't know what the Global Action Team is, it's the membership, the service, and the leadership aspect of your clubs. You should have a committee person for each of those. The Constitution and bylaws. Finance, which is chaired by the club treasurer. The membership, as I just said, is part of the Global Action Team now. Marketing and communications, make sure that, you know, that the Lions get credit for everything that they're doing, and that you put it in the newspaper, you put it on Facebook. I'm going to put my kudos out there to John Zinn. Hanover has an excellent Facebook page. They put so many different things on there that's seen by hundreds of people. It's really good to get your club out there to show, you know, what you do on a daily, monthly, yearly basis.
Thank you.
And information technology, the computer stuff. Leadership is usually chaired by the first vice president. That's your trainings, you know, to encourage people to get trainings in your club. The district has numerous really good trainings for almost everything you can imagine. We do have one coming up on the Lines portal at the beginning of May, I believe, that you all might want to make sure you get involved in, which is going to teach us how to do reporting in a different way. The club specific committees, your service projects, you know, the peace poster, Dennis would just mention about road cleanup earlier, holiday fruit baskets, holiday decorations, vision screenings, and your Leo clubs. This is a big one. This is where we really want to focus, is on any service projects where we can help people. Fundraising project committees. Arnsville put in here about the restaurant and their wine bingo. Every club has different fundraising events. Your club administration, your charter night, and any holiday dinner parties that you might have. Special committees, which are appointed to complete a specific one-time responsibility. Your zone social, any audit of the books that would need to be done. Social outings, a bus trip, a concert, a picnic, special service projects, nominating committee. Any questions on the committees?
Lisa, I did have one thing about the committees that I was thinking about, and now I'm trying to remember what it was I was thinking about. It was from earlier in the presentation.
You want me to go back?
Just an idea that I'm considering. I'll just throw it out there for you folks, but I'm thinking about at a meeting between now and the end of this Lions year, so sometime probably next month, just putting out asking each member to fill out a slip of paper and indicate what committees they would be interested in serving on. Put the list of committees on there. Some of our committee chairs, the way we have our club set up, some of the committee chairs are automatically members of the board or something like that. They have an office. So those kinds of things are predetermined, but I thought, well, maybe it'd be good just to survey and see which committees people are interested in serving on. And then from there, it might make it easier to assign them to committees instead of just guessing which people should be on which committees.
I think that would help too with not having the same people on the same committees year after year.
Cross training.
Yep,
Yeah.
cross training. Absolutely. We need to remember to replace ourselves.
Now, I'm just curious, Lisa, you said your club is on the smaller side. So like that's a lot of committees for really small clubs. Do you not?
Yep, and I tell you, typically one or two of us ends up doing most of the jobs.
Do some of the smaller clubs not have all those committees then, or?
Oh yeah, I know Littlestown, I can't remember exactly how many people, but they don't have, a lot of the committees like the bigger clubs do. It's really up to the membership and how they want to run the club.
Okay, thanks.
New Oxford's trying to focus more on service activities. Like environmental projects we can do. Like John and I helped to plant trees with Dennis and a couple of the other Lines members when we had that tree relay last month or at the beginning of this month, I guess. That type of thing, where it's an actual service project and people can see what you did. I felt really good. We might not have planted a lot of trees in them 600 and some trees, but we went back the next day and took pictures for some of the people to see, what was done. And it was amazing because we went there in the dark and you go the next day and you see all these trees up. It's just amazing. Makes you feel really good.
You guys did a great job. You look good the next morning too.
Thanks. All right. Officer elections. This is something else that might depend on your club size. The president is responsible to ensure elections comply with the Constitution and bylaws. He oversees the election or delegates the responsibility. Ensure process is open and meets deadlines. Read Constitution and bylaws to prepare. The nominating committee is supposed to appoint in January at the latest. The committee recruits a slate of candidates, at least one for each elected office. The nominating meeting must be scheduled for sometime in March. And you must provide notice at least 14 days prior to the day of the meeting. Nominating committee reports the slate of candidates. Additional nominations may be made from the floor. The slate of candidates should be finalized and a motion to close nominations should be approved at this meeting. During the election, which is held in April, you must provide notice at least 14 days prior to the day of election. Notice must include names of all nominees approved by the nomination meeting, or at the nomination meeting, I'm sorry. No additional nominations may be made at the election. And elections must be conducted by secret written ballot. And to see the Constitution and bylaws for additional details. Any questions on officer elections? That's another thing with smaller clubs. I know our club, my husband and I usually flip-flop between president and secretary. And most of the other ones, the treasurer and tail twister and line tamer, usually stay the same year after year after year. I don't recommend that way because it is good to get new people and new ideas involved. We're actually looking to plan a new member event coming up so that we can try and get some more people involved in the club, especially people that have computer skills, because unfortunately, only 2 people in our club use a computer, me and the treasurer, so it's not a good thing. So that's one skill you want to look for in new members. All right, communication. How to communicate. Newsletter, whether it's electronic or a paper newsletter. Facebook, email, telephone, text message, announcements at meetings. And press releases in the newspaper. That's a good thing. Involve your officers and committee chairs in keeping members informed. This is another very important aspect of clubs, especially in your larger clubs, to keep everybody involved and what's going on. And what to communicate to your club members are the club activities, the club board of directors meetings, the minutes, zone and district activities, multiple district activities, which is the state, LCI and LCIF activities, communications outside of your club, delegate when appropriate. If you or your vice president and secretary can't attend the district cabinet meetings, ask one of your other members or, a member or 2 to go. It's a good idea to have members understand, what goes on at those meetings. Clearly establish who will respond to what, like with your secretary, your committee chairs, your vice president, president, etc. Insist that you are informed of all requests for assistance and follow up with person and assigned to respond to each request. Your marketing and communications committee, you want a strong chairperson, because that is a great asset to get the club's name out there in the community. At least one committee member who is knowledgeable and comfortable with social media tools to post regularly the happenings of your club. Send press releases and pictures to your local newspapers. even though newspapers seem to be becoming a thing of the past, you know, they're still out there, and especially the older generation still reads them. And to keep your club's website up to date. Any questions on communication? Okay. Resources. The LCI Resource Center, which can be found here at www.lionsclubs.org. There is so much information in there, and it never fails. If I'm actually looking for something, I never seem to be able to find it, but if I'm just browsing through there, I'll see it eventually. But there's so much information in there to help you in anything you want to do. So I suggest you all go in there and just go into the resources for the members and go through everything.
Lisa,
Yes.
I will say, I know when this slideshow was created, or since this slideshow has been created, I think LCI has updated their website or done something. So, and that's a fairly recent thing that happened. So I hope that these tabs can still be found.
Oh, you know what? I did check some of this stuff to make sure that that the pages looked like they were up to date, but
Okay.
well, they still do have the resources for members. I know that because I was just in there
Okay.
the other day. So this is
This
just
might not look like this.
right. This is just a picture of what it did look like when this presentation was done a couple years. I think it was done originally in 2021, this presentation, but I did update some of the slides for some of the newer stuff. But this is where you want to go, resources for members. And then once you get into that resource center, it has, you know, all this, they have the resource center, it's, you know, and you can go into the place for new members. And I don't recall it looking like this now, so it probably will look different. This pretty much looks the same. It gives you like what the resource is, like a fundraising guide, and then you can click the view button and it brings up the PDF copy of this, and it, you know, it has all kinds of this is the My LCI login. Dennis, is this going to change? Do you know?
It did change. That's going to now be the login for the learning or the
Lions portal.
Lions portal.
Okay.
So if you don't have a Lions portal, or if you didn't have a MyLCI account, so this is all changed just as of last week.
Oh, okay.
The new Lion portal has been released, and this has gone away. The information's all there, but it looks different. So
right. I could update that before I send it out to everybody. So this is what it looked like as of 2 or 3 weeks ago when I updated the presentation. Even though that says welcome Lion Dennis, it pretty much looked the same. But you can go in here. My Lion was where you reported your service activities. My LCI was where president and secretary can go in and update the your members, your membership. Insights, I believe that's reporting. All kind of different things you can do in the insights. The learn is the Lions learning. You can go in there and you can actually take classes and earn degrees through the Lions. And it's stuff that could be helpful in your personal life. How to run a meeting. It's so much, it's a wealth of information in there. And then you can also shop at the LCI store. And that just, here's the part of the learning thing where you can go into the Lions Learning Center.
If you want me to show it, I can show you what it looks like now if you want me to share my screen. I don't know if anyone wants to see what it looks like.
That, are you in the Lion portal? Kim,
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
Sure.
What do you want to do? There.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, that's fine with me. What do I have to do to,
Okay, here, I'm gonna end you as sharing.
okay?
All right, and now we'll let Kim go.
Can you guys see it?
Just came
Ah,
up.
perfect.
Yeah, that's the new thing. And I'd never been able, I hadn't poked around before, but I couldn't see like all about my membership and everything in the club. The learn thing keeps spinning. But
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's all connected yet for some reason.
like on the service activity, I can see everything like the club has put in here, you know, the secretary, it came up earlier.
Oh, wow, that's
all
really
the-
neat.
all the different activities our club has done. And I don't know, when I go to my membership, it tells me who I've sponsored, my details, you know, how long I've been there, things like that. Who all the officers are for my club. What officers I've had and different things. But then you can also see all the information for your club as well. Like, instead of, I don't know, our secretary is always sending us a list, but I didn't realize there's this really nice list right here of all the members in our club and things like
Wow.
that. When we meet, where we meet, all that stuff. So it's pretty nice stuff that's here.
Yeah, that really looks nice. I am impressed. They did a great job.
They also have all these fancy dashboards, like when
Yep.
you're getting to see things. That's pretty heavy unless you're trying to show how good Lions are in like a report. You can come up, get some pretty good graphs there. But right now, when you click the learn, it like spins and spins and spins. So I think they're still working on it, but that's
Sure.
where you'll go. So
Hmm.
anyways, yeah, now I got there.
So
I got
each of your members and you as well now have the ability to go in and update your own personal information under that membership one. You can edit if you want to change your email address or change a phone number or whatever. You have control over doing that, and I would really encourage you guys to think about maybe even having a demonstration lesson when you become familiar, or your club secretary or club administrator, demonstrate this to all of your members, because every Lion member can set up their own account in here. They can all create a username and password to get into this system, or will be able to. That might be a little bit away till they get it all rolled out to the people who previously had accounts on MyLion and MyLCI.
so
Well, that's really nice.
I thought if you wanted to see it, but
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Thank you, Kimberly. Yeah.
Yes, thanks.
So Lisa, you'll have to go back to your screen share if you wanna. There you go.
Yep. Okay, so all this is pretty much.
This is kind of what the Lions Learning Center looks like. There's a club, they have that club path for the club president path, if you want to look at that, and then the courses. So I think the next couple slides show what the courses are.
Yep. And then this is what we're talking about, the Lions University, which is sponsored by the USA Canada Lions Leadership Forum. If you all have never been to one of these, I would suggest you go, because it is a great, typically you go there Thursday, you leave Sunday, and in between it's jam-packed with a lot of different trainings and seminars on everything you can imagine. It is really such a nice weekend to spend with other Lions and hear what other people from other areas of the United States are doing as far as their service projects. We've gotten some really good ideas by going to those USA Canada forums, and you get to see Lions from, like I said, all over the United States and Canada. It's just it's a good time. And this is just more on the Lions University. And you can get a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, your doctorate. And then if you go to the USA Canada Forum, they actually have a graduation ceremony where they hand you your degree, which is kind of cool to do. And here's an idea of the different courses or leadership seminars you can do in there. At least the way it used to look.
I think that price has stayed the same because that's a separate site, Lisa.
Oh, that's true, because that's USA Canada. Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
So yeah, these are all the courses available to get the bachelor's degree, I believe.
But it's just a wealth of knowledge in there on different things you can do.
Yeah, a second career.
Yeah. Okay, and that's everything I had in the presentation. Actually, I thought I must have went a little too fast because it actually got done in an hour. Any questions? Comments?
No.
Good job, Lisa.
Thank you. Yes, you did a nice job.
Yes, thank you. I will update those last couple slides so it looks like it does today when you go into the Lines portal. And then I'll send out the PDF copies to all of you.
Super.
That'd be terrific. It was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah,
No
thank you,
problem.
Lisa.
Thank you.
And like I said, the majority of it all depends on, the size of your club. A club like Hanover that has a lot of members. You can have your committees and committee chairs and versus a smaller club, because we have clubs that only have 5 people.
Oh my goodness.
So the more hands, the more service we can do.
Yeah.
And there's always people out here ready to help you if you're running into any kind of situation. Your zone chairs,
Yep.
any of us who've been your current governor, who will be Galen Burkholder from Shippensburg Lions Club, but anybody, past district governors, that kind of thing. If you have questions or run into problems of some kind, contact any of us. We'll be more than happy to try to help you out, or ideas, that kind of thing.
And you guys are good people too.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Thanks.
You're a pretty good guy too. Johnson. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for attending. And like Dennis said, if you have any questions, just give us a ring.